ABS Media Demo.
Hello and welcome to ibbusinessandmanagement.com. I'm Mr. Burton, site author of ibbusinessandmanagement.com and head of business at a leading independent IB World School. Delighted to have you here. Today we're looking at 5.7 production planning within our operations management unit of the course. Pleased to have you here. Sit back, take some notes, take it in, and hope you learn something. 5.7 production planning. Here we go. And one of the key aims of production planning is to minimize the cost of holding stocks whilst ensuring that there are sufficient resources for production to be able to meet customer demand in a timely manner. Stock or inventory. Stock, materials and goods required to allow for the production of and supply of products to the customer. The unsold goods or components used in the production approach. Stock control. We've got just in time and just in case are our two main methods. We'll be going into these in much more detail in just a minute. There are different types of stock control. Keeping a supply of unsold goods on hand to meet the demands of customers, keeping a supply of components used in the production approach to keep feeding the production of the goods that we're making. So stock control, to be able to hold sufficient quantities of raw materials, work in progress and finished goods in order to enable production and sales of goods to continue uninterrupted. Raw materials and components. Now these will have to be purchased from outside suppliers. This will be held in stock until they're used in the production process. Work in progress. At any one time the production process will be converting raw materials and components into finished goods, and these are our work in progress. For some firms such as construction businesses, this will be the main form of stocks held. Batch production tends to have high work in progress levels as well. And finished goods, having been through the complete production process, goods may be held in stock until sold and dispatched to the customer. Now, an exam tip here, remember to apply your answer to the business in the question of the case study when writing about stocks and stock handling systems. For example, if the business sell toys, it's likely to hold high stocks of toys at festival times, e.g. Christmas. Now, the significant cost of getting it wrong. If we run out of finished goods to supply our customers, we're going to lose a lot of goodwill, we're going to lose a lot of customers. If we don't hold enough components in our production approach, then production is going to be held up and it's going to be very expensive. Different forms of stock.
Show me.
So the raw materials and components. These are purchased from outside suppliers, held in stock until they're used in the production process.
Show me.
Work in progress. At any one time the production process will be converting raw materials and components into finished goods.
Show me.
And finished goods themselves. Having been through the complete production process, goods may be held in stock until sold and dispatched to the customer. Now, there are both costs to holding stocks and costs to not holding enough stocks. With stock holding costs, there are three costs associated with holding stock.
Show me.
First is the opportunity cost. Working capital tied up in stocks could be put to another better alternative use. The capital might be used to pay off loans, buy new equipment, or pay off suppliers, or it could just simply be left in the bank to earn interest.
Show me.
Storage costs. Stocks have to be held in secure warehouses. They often require special conditions, such as refrigeration, and staff are going to be needed to guard and transport the stocks, which should be insured against fire or theft.
Show me.
And there's a risk of wastage and obsolescence. If stocks are not used or sold as rapidly as expected, then there is an increasing danger of goods deteriorating or becoming outdated, and this is going to lower the value of such stocks, make them more difficult to get rid of, less profitable to sell. Goods often become damaged whilst held in storage. They can then only be sold for a much lower price. And as there are costs of withholding stocks, there are costs of not holding enough stocks.
Show me. Show me.
Lost sales. If a firm is unable to supply customers from stock, then sales could be lost to firms that hold higher stock levels. This might lead to future lost orders too. In purchasing contracts between businesses, it's common for there to be a penalty payment clause requiring the supplier to pay compensation if delivery dates cannot be met on time.
Show me.
Idle production resources. If stocks of raw materials and components run out, then production will have to cease. This will leave expensive equipment idle and labour with nothing to do. The cost of lost output and wasted resources could be quite considerable.
Show me.
Special orders could be expensive. If an urgent order is given to a supplier to deliver additional stock due to shortages, then extra costs might be incurred in administration of the order and in special delivery charges.
Show me.
And small order quantities as well. Keeping low stock levels may mean only ordering goods and supplies in small quantities. The larger the size of each delivery, the higher will be the average stock level held. By ordering in small quantities, the firm may lose out on an important economy of scale, such as discount for large orders. Okay, we're going to explore now our two stock management systems. First of all, we have our just-in-time. Just-in-time, you'll see it sometimes written as JIT. Just-in-time stock control is a stock control method that aims to avoid holding stocks by requiring suppliers to arrive just as they're needed in the production, and completed products are produced to order. And the key idea behind just-in-time is that it minimises the cost of holding stock. We've just looked at the cost of holding stock. Just-in-time significantly reduces all of those costs. With just-in-time, an absolute minimum amount of stock is held to meet prevailing level of demand. It requires excellent communication, strong supplier relationships, as component parts are often delivered just as they're about to enter the production process. I think Nissan requires their suppliers to be able to supply the components for a line of cars that they're manufacturing within 24 hours notice. It's much more suited to flow production. With flow production, it's mass produced. Things are very closely timed, and when the new components are needed in the production process can be timed exactly, and just in time is rather much easier to manage. The pros and cons of just in time. Look, there are lots of advantages and lots of disadvantages. I'm not going to bore you with them here. ibbusinessandmanagement.com. Get in there, download your summary notes. Just in case, stock systems. Here we are holding high stock levels just in case there is a production problem or an unexpected upsurge in demand. Right, so just in case, holding high stock levels. By holding high stock levels, we are reducing the cost of not holding enough stocks. So with just in time, we were reducing our stock holding costs. With just in case, we are reducing the cost of not holding enough stocks. Right. If there's an upswing in demand, we have that stock on hand. We can meet that increased customer demand. And that additional stock can also act as a contingency plan. If something goes wrong with our suppliers, our production comes to a halt, we still have enough stock on hand to meet our customers' needs for the next little while at least. Yeah, so if there's a breakdown in the production process or the supply chain, we still have stock there as contingency. It does require increased storage capacity. We need to hold these stocks on hand, and it does require great inventory management systems to be in place. Pros and cons, again. We can compare the pros and cons across both just in case and just in time. Each has its advantages, each has its disadvantages.
Show me.
And this is something that you can just go to the website, ibbusinessandmanagement.com. There's summary notes embedded there. Get in there, download them, learn them, memorize them. Right, stock control methods. We're looking at high level here. And specifically, we are looking at a graphical approach. So it's a stock control chart that we're looking at here. Now, these stock control charts or graphs are widely used to monitor a firm's stock position. The charts record stock levels, stock deliveries, buffer stocks, and maximum stock levels over time. And they aid the stock manager in determining the appropriate order time and order quantity. Let's have a look. There's a maximum stock level that our warehouses, our stores can hold. We should be holding buffer stocks in place. Now, buffer stocks, the more uncertainty there is about delivery times or production levels, the higher the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the higher the buffer stock level will have to be. Also, the greater the costs involved in shutting production down and restarting, the greater the potential cost savings from holding high buffer stocks. So buffer stock, a safety stock in case of a sudden increase in demand or our suppliers letting us down. A reorder level is necessary to determine, and this is going to be influenced by the economic order quantity that's referred to in the maximum stock level. So reorder quantity, we're looking at never going below our minimum level of buffer stock, so reorder quantity between buffer stock and our maximum stock level. So if you have a look down on the x-axis we've got time, and on the y-axis number of stocks. For example, here we're talking about a bakery perhaps, so tons of flour is what we're looking at. The stock we're talking about, and a time frame as well. So over time our stocks run down. Once our stock reaches the reorder level limit, then we place our order for new supplies. We phone up our flour supplier. Hey, time for a new shipment, please. Now we've got a lead time as well. We phone up our supplier. It takes time for that flour to be prepared and delivered to us. So that's called a lead time. And that time is the difference between the reorder, time we reorder, and hopefully the time when our new stock arrives. So the time taken from ordering to supplies arriving. Now it's very common at the moment for computers to be used to keep a record of every sale and every delivery of stock. The reorder quantity and reorder stock level can be programmed into computer, and it can then reorder automatically from the supplier when stocks fall to the reorder stock level. The stock control chart can be prepared by the computer, and obviously in the IB Business and Management exam we have no computer preparing this for you, unfortunately. But nice and logical. You just have to familiarize yourself with the terminology and the structure of the whole thing. So our flour supplier kicks in, the flour stocks get delivered, and suddenly we're back up to maximum stock again. That's the amount reordered. Over time again, flour stocks run down as we bake our bread, and reordered runs down. And if we get into the buffer stock territory, if we chew through our buffer stocks without a reorder being fulfilled, perhaps our suppliers let us down, then we have something called a stock out. So that's terminology you'd want to be using, stock out. Unexpected order perhaps leads to an anticipated use of the stock and running out our stock. Yes, so stock out is an important piece of terminology that you need to be familiar with. And if our stock runs out and it takes some time before new stocks can be delivered, then depending on what particular stock we are talking about, either our production process grinds to a halt. In this case, our production of bread does grind to a halt because we don't have flour to make our bread. And if we're talking about a final good and we run out of stock, maybe through increased demand, then that period of time is where we can't supply our customers. And this is where we lose a lot of goodwill, we'll lose customer orders, we'll lose future customer orders as will be perceived as being unreliable. And there may in fact be penalty payments here as well, which are going to be an added cost to being faced with the stock out. So this is a time period where either production ceases and or we run out of this good to sell. That's a definition for stock out. High level students, the appropriateness of stock control method. Stock control method, back in our accounts and finance section we looked at FIFO and LIFO stock valuation systems, and we have also looked at supply chain management. We need to consider how perishable the product is, limited shelf life. If the goods we're using have a limited shelf life, consumer perishables, we'll need to be using a just-in-time stock control method, as buffer stocks are going to perish. We want to look at the strength of our supply chain management relationships. Can our suppliers guarantee exactly what we need when we need it? Because just-in-time demands a very strong and stable relationship between supplier and manufacturer. Nissan, amazing just-in-time stock control methods. Now, Nissan's car factories now operate an average of just 1.6 days worth of component and raw material stocks. This is one of the lowest in the entire motor industry. Computer links with suppliers, which are often located in the same area as Nissan factories, allow special coded messages to be sent from the Nissan production line. These contain details of the models and colours of cars being assembled. The supplier, for example, of car carpets then knows that it must supply particular colours of carpets directly to the factory. In fact, some suppliers will make up to 120 deliveries in a single day. The parts are taken straight to the assembly line. They don't need to pass through a traditional warehouse first. Nissan production control directors claim that this method brings huge savings in stock handling and internal stock handling, as well as great space saving advantages. But for that to be effective, that relationship, that supply chain management relationship, needs to be guaranteed. 24-hour notice, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just in case, remember, we're holding extra stock here, so we need suitable warehousing available to us, just in case stock control systems demands us. And if you get into the website and have a look at some of Amazon's warehouses, you just see that they are massive. They're computerized. They take up hectares. No, not hectares would be an exaggeration, but these warehouses are ginormous. They have huge economies of scales in place. Outsourcing and subcontracting, high level stuff again. And here we're using independent suppliers rather than building, creating, producing these things ourselves. So the use of independent suppliers rather than undertake the activity ourselves. Our most well-known brands of shoes, they don't produce the shoes themselves. They outsource this to subcontractors.
Show me.
And in fact, amazingly enough, these three competitive companies, they're directly competing against each other. Their sports shoes are all made in the same huge factory in China. One factory in China subcontracts the production for Asics, Nike and Adidas. Now, there are definite advantages to outsourcing. Specialists are hired to carry out the work to high quality standards, and that's especially important if a firm doesn't have the necessary skills and expertise available internally. Different subcontractors will bid to carry out the outsourced work. That may drive down the price or create a more attractive package overall that can be awarded the contract. Contracting is going to help reduce labour costs. It's going to allow businesses to concentrate on its core activities. Disadvantages, of course, initially there'll be redundancies, and that's going to need to be managed carefully. Subcontractors need to be monitored to ensure that deadlines and quality standards are observed, and that's going to increase the cost of administering outsourced activities. There could be ethical concerns and problems with the supply chain. We've seen that with riots in the Guangdong factories, big strikes, collapsing factories and worker housing in Bangladesh. Quality management also becomes more difficult, and when we do have these subcontractors bidding against each other to supply us to get the lowest prices, some contractors have been known to cut corners, and these could all be subjected to changes in the external environment as well. Capacity utilization, an important term. This is the proportion of maximum output capacity currently being achieved. So if a factory is capable of producing 100,000 iPads a day, that would be the capacity, the maximum output level, and then how many iPads they're producing would be given as a percentage. So capacity utilization is a proportion of maximum output capacity currently being achieved. A formula that's not given in the IB Business and Management examination. Current output level over maximum output level. So it's not a difficult one to remember, quite intuitive actually. And give your answer as a percentage as well. Make or buy decisions. Remember that firms can make these components themselves. They can make the goods and services themselves, or they can buy them in and then on-sell them. And it's just done through a cost-benefit analysis. Again, get in there into the ivbusinessandmanagement.com website. There are great little videos on supply chain management that relate specifically to these make decisions and these buy decisions. Please do get in there and have a look. Short little videos, very informative. Make or buy decisions. They're going to be looking at the expected sale volume or quantity, looking at fixed costs, average variable costs, price per unit, which is being charged by the supplier. So there's going to be a cost to buy that's given by price times quantity. So the cost to buy is determined by the price charged by the subcontractor or the supplier and the quantity of the product demanded by the firm. Cost to make, we need this specific cost information. So fixed costs and our average variable cost times the quantity. Cost to make, just that same sort of information that we were using with our break-even point. We know all about fixed costs. We know what a variable cost is. So the cost to buy is determined by the fixed cost of production. So we're talking about things like the rent of our factory, and the variable costs such as direct labour associated with the quantity of the product supplied by the firm. And there'll also be quantitative and qualitative factors at play. Quantitative and qualitative factors will need to be considered in the make or buy decisions. But do get in there to ipbusinessandmanagement.com and watch those two short, very informative videos. And that is it for production planning. I'm Mr. Burton, site author of ipbusinessandmanagement.com. Pleasure to have you with me today. I hope you learned something. Looking forward to being with you next time when we look at the very, very, very tricky next topic, network analysis or production planning that follows production planning. Okay, see you next time.